Clic, mort. Ça tue, ça blesse, ça flingue. Aïe, aïe, aïe. Mort.
Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob ENT podcast. On this episode, we are going to preview the WNBA playoffs for y'all on this episode. But Miles, my brother, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Getting ready for the games we have coming up this weekend. I got my Jet shirt on, so I'm ready for tomorrow. Ready for the biggest upset of the weekend. So,
Yes, sir. Speaking of upsets, before we get into that, though, like, share, subscribe, let any and everybody know about the podcast. We are trying to make sure that this is pushed to the masses in the algorithm. We're trying to be here for a good time and a long time. For this episode, you mentioned upsets. WNBA playoffs has been set. Specifically, I'll run down some of the matchups that we have for tomorrow. Tomorrow. It starts Sunday. So the playoff bracket we have for WNBA, number 1 seed Minnesota Lynx, the expansion team in their first season, the Golden State Valkyries made the playoffs. 4-5, we got the Mercury Liberty. 2-7, we have Aces and Storm, and 3-6, Atlanta Dream and Fever. Those matchups, which one do you think is the highest likely upset that we could possibly see in the first round?
it's weird because I don't think this is an upset, but if the Mercury beat the Liberty in the first round, I wouldn't be surprised because all year they've had a really good team. They've made some solid moves over the course of the year, bringing Bay back. That's what you got to do that sometimes. But the Liberty, they just haven't looked as sharp as they did last year. I know they've lost some players like Sloot left in the offseason, and she's really good. She runs the floor. She can shoot. So I'm looking forward to seeing this matchup. I know the Liberty don't have the home court advantage in this one. So they're going to the Mercury's home court, and they're not a really good road team. They haven't been really good on the road this year. They're better at, I was going to say the Garden, but better in Brooklyn than they are on the road. So that's one I'm interested to see how they do because, like we've seen with the Aces in the past, they're a team that they had a little dynasty run there, and we thought that they took a step back. But, I mean, over the course of the last month, this has been the hottest team in the W. So, that's another team I got to watch out for to make another appearance, a finals appearance, because I know I'm getting off track from that Liberty Mercury series, but that MVP race is a little more interesting than it was maybe a month ago. So I think the playoffs are going to be fun. I feel like people should be more tuned in to like women's basketball than they should. Well, than most people are, in my opinion.
Speaking of that MVP race, I'm going with my girl Asia Wilson. Aces, I think it was something about like a 16-game winning streak, almost winning 19 out of the last like 22 or some crazy stat. They've obviously figured something out and turned on the switch, and they are playing their best basketball when it matters the most and going into the playoffs. You got Asia for MVP?
Yeah, I got Asia for MVP. She's still the best player in the W. I think Napheesa, she's really good. I'm not taking anything away from Napheesa, but there's levels to being the best player in that league, and we've seen them matched up against each other, and Asia dominates her every time. So, especially with this last month of the season, I think people were sleeping on her as an MVP candidate just because they weren't playing well, and then they made some good moves, and they've been winning. So, they've got one of the best records in the league now because of this winning streak. So, I think Asia's going to take it.
Yeah, I think Asia taking some multiple hardwares home. She's probably going to get MVP, DPOY. I do like Gabby Williams as a dark horse for DPOY, but I can see Asia getting it as well. Fee, great season. One of, I think it was like 8 players in NBA and WNBA history to average 20, at least 20, and do 50, 40, 90. And I think she's the only player in the W to do 50, 40, 90 with at least 20 points. So Fee had a great season in her own regard. I think if Fee didn't miss as many games, which is out of her control, obviously,
Yeah.
I think they probably give it to Fee. I could see what we always see when it comes to basketball, at least. Voter fatigue. Asia already has multiple. She has 3. This will be her 4. I think this will be Fee's first one.
Mhm.
I can see that happening. But because she missed so many games, it might really end up going to Asia, especially when you see, like you said, the Liberty had injuries all throughout the season. They've had some players that was going overseas, things of that nature. So it's really a two-person race. I get people mentioning Alyssa Thomas having another season averaging a triple-double, and the only individual ever in WNBA history to have like 3 straight triple doubles in a game. Shout out to Alyssa Thomas, but respectfully, there's levels, and the tier of MVP is really only those 2. Asia and Fee is really just that dark horse to win the WNBA championship. And sidebar, I agree with you in regards to upsets because I can't see the Valkyries actually beating Minnesota Lynx.
I like them though. I like what they've done this year, and um, I do think their coach should get Coach of the Year just because
Hands down.
expansion team, you getting players from all. It's not like you get to pick the best players from each team. You picking just random players from throughout the league. So for her to be able to come in, coach, and have them competing and actually make the playoffs in their first year, she deserves that award. But that's the thing. I haven't seen the Dream play enough. I haven't seen them play enough. I know they have a great record. They're one of the top 3 teams in the league right now. I'm curious how they'll look in the playoffs, though. And I feel like that series would be a lot more interesting and fun if Caitlin was healthy. But funny enough, I feel like the Fever play better without Caitlin there. So that's one that should be on upset watch too. Is the Dream, just in case Kelsey Mitchell decides to go Hall of Fame mode and take over, which she's good enough to. Um, that's one that I want to see if they can get an upset. But if they don't, I think the Dream they could also make a run to the finals too.
Yeah, the Dream is my dark horse to get to the finals. If somehow Seattle beats the Aces, I think that'll be a dark horse because Seattle has a good roster. They have veterans
Yeah,
on the team with Skyler, with Agumake. You add some of the ancillary pieces they have. You add the Gabby Williams to the world, who's a lockup defender and can go get you 10 or 15 points any given night. I think they had has been trying to figure out the best matchups and the best roster and the best, lineups and things of that nature. But they have players built for the playoffs though, like that have been there. So I don't think it'll be a walk in the park for the Aces, even though they've been balling well. But that's the thing that's great about the first round of the W is best out of 3. So
yeah,
you can mess around. You just gotta win 2. You don't gotta win 4. It's not like the NBA. So all these teams technically could. The ball goes one way. Somebody turns their ankle. It could happen. And the Dream, dark horse, but they also, it's like they're so, for me, they've been so inconsistent. And one of the players that has not lived up to billing, not lived up to the hype that they received in the offseason was Brittany Griner, signing Brittany Griner. I think she's on the back end of her career, and I've always been consistent in saying this. Brittany Griner, for as tall as she is, I would feel and I would think she would dominate the boards more than she does.
yeah,
She has not, I don't believe, averaged at least 8 boards in her entire career, being one of the most tallest athletic bigs that the W has ever seen. Not to even give me 8 boards at least. I'm not a fan of it. That's just me, but that's how I see it regarding that. Um, Staying in the W, right? Before we end off the show, because it's been obviously a heavy discussed conversation. about somebody that did not make the playoffs, the Chicago Sky and Angel Reese. What's your thoughts on Angel Reese and how the comments and that came out with the paper and the players, and we need better players, and calling out the front office, and she ended up apologizing, of course, and saying she has to be better as well as a player. Now it's discussions that, hey, we listen in the trade office for her. We are listening in the trade office. What's your thoughts on the entire situation, and what team do you think should or would be a better fit for Angel? Because I think most of the league is going to call, but who would be the best fit for Angel and her style of play?
Well, I think speaking on like the Angel stuff and everything going on, I think some of these people like they get comfortable in front of the mic. Like she has her own podcast, and it's a lot of unfiltered talk and discussion on things. So I don't know if she was just feeling really comfortable and just saying that. And I don't think it was coming from a bad place. They do need better players on that team if they want to compete. Because like if you look at it, Candace Parker won a championship with this team like 4 or 5 years ago. So you're telling me that they just fell off the map that quickly after having top 5 picks. I mean, they drafted Reese, like they got Cardoza there. They've got pieces on this team. So whether it's coaching, they need better coaching, or an influx of talent. Like, but it's tough for your second year player to say that, and then you've got like veterans on the team to just be like, "Damn, she's saying we suck." Because I mean, she's not talking about herself. She's saying we need better players. So she's talking about the rest of us. So um, it's just a bad look in that sense that you're this young player. You don't want to ruffle feathers. Uh, Caitlin Clark always seems to. She's very. I feel like she's been coached well on what to say and not, ruffle any feathers. She always takes the high road. Sometimes reporters ask questions that you know they're digging, and you can't let them get to you. And you sometimes can't be so forthright in your answer. So, I mean, it's a learning experience for her. And I do think they'll look at making a move and trading her somewhere in the offseason. Even though she's great, I mean, for all she's done this year, they're still not a good team. So um, I think they can get some picks, maybe some other players in a deal for her in the offseason. Um, and then maybe, let me see what team could use her. Maybe a team like Atlanta could use her for rebounding, because I know, who is it? Brittany Griner's there now. Um, she's on the back end, like you said, and bringing in some younger talent with that roster. Like they got some good players on that team, and that's a really good team. They could, like I said, they're in the top 3 right now for seeding. And let's say you get an Angel Reese, who I know we make fun of the me bounds, but she's someone who's out there hustling, fighting for boards. Like you need somebody who plays the game with that intensity, even though she's still working on her game, but you need players like that who will grab boards, who will fight, who bring an intensity to the game that you're not gonna punk me. Like, girl grabs my hair, I'm about to swing on you for doing that. So um, all the teams in the league should be inquiring about it. I mean, even sleeper. I don't know what the Valkyrie would offer, but you bring in a star talent like that, where you're coming off of making the playoffs your first year. Why not make a splash and bring in an Angel Reese who can be the face of your team? That'll put butts in the seats. Um, I know out west, you might be able to get more people to come out west in free agency if they want to play with Angel Reese than Chicago. I mean, it's cold in Chicago in the the winters. I don't know how many people want to live out there making what the WNBA pays their players. So, um, yeah, every team should be inquiring and seeing what it would take to get Angel Reese. But there's only a few teams that really need her. Like, I don't think the Aces would be interested. Like, the best teams aren't going to need somebody like that. Like, Minnesota's not going to need somebody like that. And then who's going to want somebody who, I don't want to say she'll ruffle feathers in the locker room, but, you know, she said things in the media in the past that, you know, will rub people the wrong way. So who's going to want that in their locker room too? So it's going to be a long offseason for Chicago. They might unload her. You know, Cardoza's not what we all thought she might be coming out of South Carolina. She's really just a big out there who can. She's got talent, but I haven't really seen it. Haven't really seen her do it at this level yet. So uh, big off season.
They got a big offseason. The W got a big offseason, period, because it might not even be a season next year with how they're reporting the negotiations are going so far. The thing with Angel that I think people got to remember within this, Angel has stuff that she has to improve on as well in her game. It worked out for her that she did get drafted by the Chicago Sky because the Chicago Sky is booty. So it gave room for her to actually grow her game versus being on one of these playoff teams / championship contender teams. It would be even a heavier, like we see on social media how much people are on her about the me bounds and things of that nature. But imagine she was on a Liberties team. Imagine she was on a dream team where no, we're playing big games every single night, vying for position in the playoffs. Now we're in the playoffs. And imagine a playoff series where she goes 1 for 12 and missed 6 layups. Oh, you think you think it's bad now? It would be crazy. They would have to like WNBA would have to request Google to remove her name from like social media for people to use it. Like it would be crazy. So that's the thing within this. Like, I hope that is the case that this offseason she locks in and make sure she at least improves the offensive package and improves certain things where you can't really have an issue if she speaks out on things like this. People can have a little issue because they look at the actual product and it's like, hey, Angel, it's the second year. Angel, you got some stuff you got to work on too. Angel, I don't know if you should be the one commenting and talking on this specifically. You don't have any hardware. You have a rebounding title. That's it. No MVP, no DPOY. You ain't been to the playoffs. You ain't got a most improved player of the year. You ain't got a 6th woman of the year award. You have nothing to your name. Absolutely nothing. Nah. Like Candace Parker said, who's a Hall of Famer? She said, nah, the Sparks was pissing me off a lot of times, but I kept it in-house. So it's going to be a very jam-packed WNBA playoffs. We will definitely keep y'all updated throughout the playoff times. It's a different format, so the playoffs is going to go a little bit quicker anyway. We'll keep you locked in, update our picks. I think with how they was playing, the Aces will go back and bring the title back to Las Vegas. Who's your pick, Miles, to end off the episode?
Yeah, I like the Aces. I think Asia's hungry, especially after last year, and everybody's kind of now coming into this season almost counting them out, saying like, okay, it's really Minnesota or it's the Liberty. Like, no, the Aces have been here for years. So just because they lost some players doesn't mean that they're not one of the top teams in the league. And yeah, they started off a little rough, you know, chemistry issues. I know Asia got hurt for a little bit, but now they're rolling. This last month, this is what teams don't. This is what you got to understand. Like going into the playoffs hot is the best thing that could possibly happen for you because you're playing the best basketball. You got all of the losing and the bad basketball kind of out of your system early in the year, and now you're going in. You've got the chemistry with these girls now, so it's going to be fun for Asia because I know she's always stepped up in the playoffs. You're not worried about her stepping up.
Fact. So you already know, man. If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.